Today we are going to be looking at the nature of man. The nature of man. From my previous class, we looked at studying rules, how to study properly, rules for accurate study. That was what we looked at in our previous class. And today, we want to look at how we can harness the nature of man in studying accurately. Now, for us to do that, first of all, we have to understand the two natures of man. Man has two natures. That is, the body of man is divided into two. According to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16, man has two natures. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16. Now, the first nature of man is the outward man. The outward man. While the second nature of man is the inward man. The inward man. Now, the outward man is made up of the physical body and its five senses. The physical body and its five senses. The physical body is gotten from the dust. God created the physical body from the dust. Okay, the physical body and its five senses were created from the dust by God. Now, when I mean the five senses of the physical body, I'm talking about sight, I'm talking about smell, I'm talking about hearing, okay, I'm talking about taste, okay, I'm talking about smell, touch. Those are the five senses: sight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste. Those are the five senses. Okay, these are what makes up the outward man, according to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16. Now, the inward man is made up of the spirit and the soul. The spirit and the soul. Okay. Now, the inward man is the real person living in the physical body. Is the real person living in the physical body. Okay. Now, for the purpose of this course, we are going to dwell mainly in the inward man. Now, remember I said the inward man is made up of the soul and the spirit. The soul and the spirit cannot be seen by the ordinary eyes, or by these are physical eyes. They cannot be seen. Okay, they are spiritual. Okay, for you to see them, you have to go beyond the ordinary. For you to see them, you have to be spiritual before you can see them. So the spirit and the soul cannot be seen. Okay, now the soul is part of the spirit. You cannot separate the soul from the spirit. Okay, now the soul is what connects the spirit to the body. Okay, it's what connects the spirit to the body. Okay, now the soul or mind is the spiritual senses of the human spirit. Okay, the spiritual sense of the human spirit. So the soul or mind connects the spirit to the body, just like what I've said before. Okay, now in biology you were taught about the central nervous system. The central nervous system is made up of the brain and the backbone. It's made up of the brain and the backbone. And of course, without the brain or the backbone, the human body is useless. So just as the way the central nervous system is important to the body, that is how the soul is important to the spirit. So without the soul, the spirit is also what? Useless. Okay. Now, remember we said the brain is part of the central nervous system. It is through the brain that most of the five senses of the human activities are being perceived. Okay, through the eyes are connected to the brain, your ears are connected to the brain, your senses of touch, everything is connected to the brain. Okay, so it is the brain that carries out the five senses of the body. Okay, so just as how the brain is important to the central nervous system, that is how the mind is important to the soul. Now I'm moving further. The mind is part of the soul. The mind can be found inside the soul. Okay, the brain is to the central nervous system. It tends to control the activities of the human senses. Now, the mind is also part of the soul. The mind can be found inside the soul. It is the mind that controls the senses of the soul. Okay, remember I said that the soul, okay, is spiritual. You cannot see the soul. So it is through the mind that the spirit or the soul can see. It is through the mind that the spirit or the soul can smell or touch. Okay, if you look at the book of Revelation chapter 6 verses 9, it said, and when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they heard. Revelation chapter 6 verses 9, I read further, I said, and they cried with a loud voice, saying, how long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? So it means that the spirit or the soul, they don't die. They are ever alive. And they have a mind that helps them to control senses. So when the body dies, the spirit or the soul, they don't die. Okay? They can communicate. They can communicate. So we can say that what the central nervous system is to the body, the soul is to the spirit. What the central nervous system is to the body, the soul is to the spirit. And what the brain is to the central nervous system, the mind is to the soul. Okay? So, furthermore, we can deduce that the mind is in the soul. Your mind, okay, is in the soul. Okay? While the brain is part of the central nervous system. Okay? So we can say that the spirit also through the mind can perceive, smell, and sense. It can perceive, it can smell, and it can sense. Now, to further summarize, what I'm simply trying to tell you today is that the soul is part of the spirit. You cannot separate the soul from the spirit. Okay? The mind is found inside the soul. You cannot see your mind. Okay? The mind is inside the soul. So it is through the mind that the soul can see. Okay? It is through the mind that the soul can see. So it is the soul that connects the spirit to the body. That's why at times when you are sleeping at night, you know your body won't be aware of what's happening. At times you have a dream where you will see yourself maybe in another world. It's actually your spirit that is doing that. You find out that in your dreams you'll be moving, your spirit will be moving, your spirit will be communicating. Okay, it is those things are being carried out through the activities of the soul and the spirit and the mind. The soul, the spirit, and the mind. That's why in Matthew chapter 22 verse 37 it says, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. So that is to say that the heart is different from the soul, okay, and also the mind. The mind is for the soul, okay, while the heart is for the body. Okay, so what I've simply done now, I've been able to distinguish or establish a relationship between the body, the soul, and the spirit. Between the body, the soul, and the spirit. So remember I said this course we are going to look at, we are going to know how we can harness the body, the soul, and the spirit in studying. And I said that before we can do that, we need to take a critical look at the inward nature of man, which we have done. So please stay tuned. In my next class now, we will now look at how we can harness the body, the soul, and the spirit in proper studying. Because so many students, or so many individuals, they are studying without carrying their inner man along. Or we can say that they are studying without carrying their outward man along. So please stay tuned. Thank you.